Okay, welcome everybody to your next Germany video. This is session 5 of the Germany revision plan. So if you want to open up your booklets and we'll turn to session 5. So we've got a couple of activities here. Some of them are repeated activities, so give you a chance to extend your skills a little bit more and repeat some of the skills. We're going to start off with the mind map for the knowledge. So complete the mind map below to explain the reasons for the growth in the Nazi Party after 1929. So just to be clear, after 1929, before they get in power, but after key event of the Wall Street crash. You should remember that's when the Wall Street crash happens, and therefore we're talking about the Great Depression. So really want you to add some details to each of these. I'm going to give you some hints. So when we talk about unemployment, really what we want to be talking about there is what are the figures. But there's also other things that lead to unemployment that you can include in terms of the economic problems. So what happens to the banks and also businesses, think about these as well. Businesses close, how many? Banks collapse, how many? The role of Hitler, I'm going to leave you with that one to fill in your own details without any hints, because you really should be quite established with the role of Hitler by now. Propaganda and the role of Goebbels, just to be clear, this is before 1933. So the examples of propaganda you would use here would not include movies, the Olympics, all of the things that they do to control people. So you need to be very clear. We're talking about propaganda before the Nazis are in power. Therefore, this is about spreading the message, capitalizing on the unemployment, on the role of Hitler. So we're talking about trying to sell Hitler and Nazi ideology. So these are the examples you should be coming up with here. And then finally, for the electoral success, this is all about growth. So a few hints for you: 1928, 1930, 1932, and 1932 again, because there is a month and a month that needs to go next to these two dates. How many seats did the Nazis get in the Reichstag in order to demonstrate the growth and what this says about the Nazi Party for why they became more popular and rose to power? Okay. Then the next activity is a source one. We want you to use the knowledge that you've got in this mind map and apply it to these sources. So it's very similar to session 1, where you had to do a table that had the content, the provenance and the context. You're doing the same thing here. So just a reminder, using sources B and C, reasons for growth in support for the Nazi Party in the years 1929 to 32. So explain your answer using source B and your own knowledge. This is the source. The content is the picture, the provenance is where it's from or what it is. Same here, content and provenance, and you should be using your own knowledge from this mind map to attach onto these sources to show how it's useful. And then write an answer at the bottom of the page, and you've got space over the next 2 pages as well. So it should be 2 paragraphs, or 2 sections really, one on source B, okay, then one on source C, and within this you should include a paragraph for B that deals with the content plus context. So you're adding own knowledge to the source, to the content, and then the provenance plus context. So you're adding own knowledge to the provenance to say why it's useful, and then repeat the same here. A paragraph that has content plus context and provenance plus context. So remember, you're looking for 4 pieces of own knowledge that link to something that is said or shown in the source. So a good example would be, this one's about unemployment, well, you'll have all the knowledge you need about unemployment there to say why that's useful for making the Nazis popular and for the growth and support of the Nazi Party. Okay? At this point, I would pause the video and do those 2 tasks before we move on. Now that we've restarted the video, then we're on to some repetition tasks that we've done before, again explaining how and why interpretations are different. So this was done in a previous session. I think it was session 4. We'll just have a check. Session Yep, session 4. So if you find this one, you've got how and a why. It's the same skill, the difference in opinion and the different focus of the issue. So for this one, we're saying how the interpretations are different, and then also why they're different. A repetition there. And finally, to finish, a little timeline. How did Hitler consolidate his power? So here, we should be looking at some of the key points and putting them in the right place on the timeline. I'll give you a few hints to start you off. You will definitely need to talk about the Enabling Act. You will definitely need to talk about the Night of the Long Knives. You'll need to know the dates, you'll need to know the events, and you'll need to go on the right order in the timeline. So you're going from Hitler being appointed Chancellor to the death of Hindenburg. Okay, I would say these two tasks should take you about 10-15 minutes. Spend most of the previous half hour on the other two tasks. Okay, best of luck with that, and your teacher will mark it when you hand it in.